Every time we talk about war, it just turns people off. But from a political standpoint, I'm talking about it because of what was said by Defense Secretary Leon Panetta. Laid out the administration's most explicit portrayal of the United States drawdown in Afghanistan. The combat role is going to end in 2013. That's next year. Instead of 14. We're a year ahead of schedule. We're sick of it. Done it for 10 years. It's over. Got to get out. Does it make us safer? We're making tremendous inroads in taking out terrorists in a different manner of doing it. So here comes the Mittster. He takes the bait. He doesn't realize that damn near 80% of the American people want us out of Afghanistan and have for a long time.
The Taliban hears it. The Pakistanis hear it. The Afghan leaders hear it. Why in the world do you go to the people that you're fighting with and tell them the day you're pulling out your troops? His naivete is putting in jeopardy the mission of the United States of America and our commitments to freedom.
I mean, that's just being an idiot on the stump. What military person is going to stand up and say, I stand with Mitt Romney? They won't. Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films, great to have you with us. You can follow him on Twitter, @Robert Greenwald. Robert, how are you?
I'm good, Ed. How are you today?
Doing great. Appreciate your time.
Of course. Well, it's a critically important issue. And before we get into it, as taking all of these good indications about the withdrawal of troops going on, I want to just give a shout out to you, because way back when 80% of the country was in favor of this war, Ed, you were one of the few voices that gave our Rethink Afghanistan a larger microphone so that we could talk to people and raise the fundamental questions. And you know what? That's a wonderful thing about democracy. And again, that's the great thing about having your voice and your guts back in the day when the polls were not showing what they're showing now.
Well, that's just when I had first started at MSNBC. I had it in my heart that we were doing the wrong thing as a country. And nobody's ever gone over there in the last several centuries and done anything worthwhile. And we're just throwing away our infrastructure. And look at the trickle down. Now we're fighting in school districts across America because we don't have any money.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has gutted our infrastructure. I mean, that's the dot that needs to be connected.
Well, $500 billion is we're coming on $500 billion spent on a war in Afghanistan that, as we keep saying, is not making us safer, is not helping our interests, and is enlarging profits for a small group of military contractors.
The bottom line here is that it's going to happen. We're going to get out. But what does 2013 mean? End of combat role. You've been over there. You've done the work. What do you know? What do you see?
Well, when you go to Afghanistan, as I did, early on in our work on rethinking, it's so clear, Ed, that the problems will never be solved by invading and occupying. And the tragedy of the lives lost and the billions spent is that many of the leaders in the Pentagon and in the administration did not really go on the ground, look around, talk to the people, and see that it was essentially a civil war that we were intervening with. And the Taliban are not al-Qaeda. They're very different. In fact, the report out today indicates that interrogating Taliban prisoners over and over again, they're talking about the fact that they're not in an agreement with al-Qaeda, and they've separated from them. So I think that the fact we're bringing it to an end, it's late, it's tragic, but at least it's significantly on the way, pulling back troops, and no longer, as of 2013, playing an active military role. The problem will be the Afghan police and army can in no way handle the situation when we withdraw, and that's going to be a painful reality. We need to look and say we can't control and fix every situation.
What do you make of Romney's comments on the stump?
Well, it's so ludicrous, but I guess more significantly is that, first of all, he called Pakistan people we're fighting with. I thought they were an ally of ours who we're giving billions to, which maybe he doesn't understand that. We can send him the clippings so that he gets educated on it.
Do that. Put up you got to do that. You got to send something to the Romney camp and document how much money we have floated to the Pakistani government just so we won't be at each other's throats, okay?
Right.
We're not fighting them.
Yeah. We should start with just educating him on simple facts, but we know facts are not his strong point. But, the other part of it is he has surrounded himself with a lot of the neocon advisors, the very same people who were saying we had to go in to Iraq because they had weapons of mass destruction, the very same people who was saying we had to go after the Taliban and confusing them with Al-Qaeda, and the same people who are saying now that we have to, bomb Iran. It's the same ideology, Ed. It consists over and over again. The notion that military can solve all problems is essential fallacy. We're an incredible country with all kinds of other tools and other abilities and other ways to reach and protect ourselves and impact people abroad. The notion invade, occupy, is just repeated over and over again by people with no other ideas.
So, what is the poll? Where are the American people on this? If you had to say a percentage of people want us the hell out of there, what is it? What do you know? What is the last number you've seen?
Well, if you combine a couple of numbers, you do get to about a high 70s, I think, in terms of people who say it's not worth it, we should get out now, or we should get out sooner. It's an extraordinary number. And most significantly, again, Ed, when you and I started talking about this, it was virtually the other way. People thought it was the good war, the right war. But people are not stupid, and it's very, very clear. I defy you to find me 5 Americans who think we are safer now because we spent $500 billion, because almost 2,000 American troops have died in Afghanistan and thousands of Afghanis. Just doesn't make us safer, and that's the fundamental problem. Everyone's concerned about security, but people know it. They know this is not the way to make us safer, and we must find other ways to do it, or we're always going to be invading and occupying the minute there's any kind of threat.
Yeah. Brave New Films owner-producer Robert Greenwald. What are you guys working on now? You always got something in the works.
Well, we have a new piece on the Koch brothers, where Henry Waxman is asking them to come before Congress. So we have asking people to sign a petition and support Mr. Waxman's efforts to get the Kochs in front of Congress. Wouldn't you love to see that, to force them, Ed, to talk about their financial interest in the tar sands pipeline, which they are not telling the truth about various reports? So we're supporting Waxman on that. We're also putting together a full-length film about the Koch brothers that we're in the end stages of finishing up, and we hope we will have out by middle of March for people so that they can screen it and, really go on and look at these folks who are trying to buy up our democracy.
That's basically what they're doing. What do you make of Florida? I mean, I made the point, I posted a blog on this yesterday, I talked about it on the radio as well. The free media did not overcome the millions of dollars about Mitt Romney. I mean, Newt was out there doing all the free media he could possibly get in front of, talking about offshore accounts, talking about how he made his money at Bain, talking about releasing his taxes. None of it worked. I mean, he was outspent 5-1. It didn't sway the Florida voters. I don't think it was a Newt problem. I just think it was just overwhelming voters about Mitt Romney, calling him a northeastern liberal, saying he won't get the nomination. In the diverse portions of Florida, except for the northern panhandle, Romney was dominant. Mm-hmm. And he won in all age groups, all demographics, ethnicity across the board. He won in all, major groups. And it was the money. I mean, none of the free media or any of the angles that Newt Gingrich played work. What does this tell us moving forward?
Well, I think one of the fundamental things it tells us is that in some of these states, the Tea Party radical conservative ideology is not dominant. Those who are self-identified as real conservatives were the ones who were at the core of Gingrich. They are not a majority of Republicans in Florida, and I think that was, a very important part. Also, of course, for some reason we'll never know, Newt did not do well in that last debate. He was not on the attack. And then, there is this extraordinary amount of outside money. It's ironic, isn't it, Ed, that, the Republicans are seeing this money being used to tear their party apart when they've been majorly in favor of the Citizens United ruling, not knowing, not anticipating.
Well, that's been the fun part.
Yes, exactly.
That's been the fun part, watch these guys. But on a serious note, I mean, moving forward, it's some scary stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got a select few bankrolling Romney.
Yes.
I mean, that's just changing how this country could run.
It's the 1% at the worst. right? These are the 1%, less than the 1%, 0.1%. And if there's any question in people's mind, here is the actual proof right in front of us, what they're doing, how they're running the country, and how they're making decisions that impact every single one of us every day.
Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. You can follow him on Twitter at Robert Greenwald. And, of course, the website is bravenewfilms.org, isn't it?
Yep.
Very good.
Yes.
Great to have you with us, Mr. Greenwald. Appreciate your time.